Yeah, I wanted to touch on the PPC side real quick on the launch process. Ryan, what do you do on the PPC side for launching a new product to get it going?
There is a nice YouTube video Ryan did on that on our YouTube channel for anyone that wants to go.
I have a feeling he went really in depth and talked about
it's like a 30-40 minute thing.
It is a 30-40. It's pretty. The biggest thing during launch that matters the most, and this is, I mean, you guys will probably know this already. It's like Amazon as an algorithm, it's a bot the same way as most things, and so this is where like I have to like make sure I say it as simply as possible without getting too much trouble.
Contain himself.
Yeah. So you have SEO is huge, right? On Amazon, and it's relevancy and conversion rate are the two biggest scores for Amazon's ranking. Okay, and that includes within browse nodes. So within the browse tree node, basically you have access to different types. Amazon has gotten a lot better at this over the last several years. Anytime they update their algorithm, a lot of times it has to do with actually the browse node rather than some of these other things. And so the browse tree node, in essence, there's certain search terms that Amazon has figured out are attached to different type of categories or subcategories or sub niches. And so by putting yourself in the correct category and subcategory, you should, in theory, have access to the proper amount or proper type of search terms. Okay. So during launch, the most strategic thing for you to do is to classify what it is and also what it isn't. Okay. So when it comes down to like the keyword research, it's not just saying, okay, yeah, I have I'm looking on my desk, but I have like a headphone set, right? It's not just a headphone set. I can say it is a headphone set. What else is it? What deeper is it, right? It is for X, Y, Z. It is not for A, B, C, and D. And making sure that those things are removed simply because you want your click-through rates and your relevancy score to be as high as possible. You want Amazon to attribute you saying, okay, this is relevant, 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 even if conversions don't occur at first. And the reason for that, if you guys ever look at the data, you can actually rank a product based on clicks alone. You can't rank it on first page, but you sure can climb the ranks of page 5 and 6 to page 2. And part of that is because not everyone who sells a product is making a sale every single day. We see it all the time, right? They're like, oh yeah, I have a product. I make a sale like once every 2 days. Yeah, it's because your product sucks, to be honest, and you don't know how to rank it. But just on clicks alone, you can actually increase the ranking based on relevancy score. Then comes in conversion rate, right? For the people who are buying it. So anyways, as far as ranking strategies, that's in essence what it is. You can do it your own way. You can do it the funnel way, right? Which actually Solozo has a decent funnel system. I've looked into you guys. I've talked to Dustin before. We've had a long conversation. I utilized your guys' algorithm for a little while as well. I won't go into that here. But anyways, the funnel system is like you start out with an auto campaign, you find out what good click-through rates are, what good conversion rates are, and you move them down into a funnel. Very, very simple, right? That's the concept of what to do. As far as a launch, if you put a lot of heavy work into the front and find out what it is and what it isn't, you can help the algorithm along, right? And so that's the main thing as far as what we do. We do basically one of the two strategies depending on really what the client feels comfortable with and what we feel is going to be best. Are we going to do just the standard funnel of start an auto campaign and move your way down, or do we start actually reversed? And we say, actually, we already know that these 10 search terms or 5 search terms are going to be the most hyper relevant that you can possibly find with this, and we only hit those during launch. We don't hit anything else. We just want to give it as much of an algorithm push as we possibly can. And part of that is because during launch, like that honeymoon phase is huge. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. That realistically, the only way that when you launch a product on Amazon, a lot of people assume that they're like, okay, like what does the honeymoon phase mean? It means that you have no negative marks against you and you have no positive marks against you. That's what people assume, right? That's not necessarily true. The only way that an algorithm can be unbiased is if there is an average conversion rate, an average click-through rate for the category, and when you launch, until proven wrong, you launch with that average. So the very first thing that you want to do in launch is just hit those things to show Amazon you're above average and you'll rank. It's not rocket science. But this is one of the problems that, like, I do see this consistently with people. They come and they hire us and they're like, yeah, our product has been live on Amazon for 3 months. We're not getting any clicks. We're not getting, well, that sucks. Like, you've actually you've literally proven out Amazon's algorithm right. They now know or believe that you are less relevant than the average. Right. So anyways.
How do you change that? If that's the case, do you just start cleaning everything up and just start laser focusing on the main keywords where they convert the best? Try to get that conversion rate up, the unit session percentage up on that product. And
yeah, like another cute thing on Amazon is that your listing has to do the heavy lifting, and that is totally true. And so usually we go to the listing first and we're like, hey, you've got to change your price. Realistically, changing something on your listing, graphics wise and even keyword wise is actually a good thing. Amazon has kind of let slip through other things that they allow, kind of not necessarily a real honeymoon phase, but kind of a mini one, especially if you do brand, what do they call it? The brand split tests. What do they call it? The brand experiments.
Yeah.
They let slip, and they say this: you will not receive a decrease in impressions based on those experiments. So what's the only way that they can do that?
manipulate the ranking.
So that's why I tell brands, I'm like, when was the last time you used that? And they're like, we didn't even know that existed. Well, yeah, then use it. Because basically the only way for them to show a real split test is to get accurate data. And they can't do that if it's a huge landslide of just impressions. This one is the only one getting impressions. The other one's not. They have to actually use the ASS, the Amazon Search Shuffle, to manipulate those impressions. So it's kind of one of those things like, yeah, absolutely use those brand experiments any chance you can get. But in addition, anytime you change something on the listing, Amazon gives you a little bit of a reprieve and say, okay, you've changed something. Let's see if you convert better now. It's never as good as the original honeymoon period, but maybe you get at most a week out of it. A lot of people say the honeymoon phase is a period of time. I don't agree with that. I think it's a period of data. After a certain amount of data, they believe that, okay, the data's in, you're now less relevant or more relevant than you previously were, etc. So